Before we start, here's how to use this practice. Listen once, then say each line out loud in your own voice. Speak clearly, not quickly. If you miss a line, don't rewind, just keep going and let your brain catch up. These are the sentences professionals use every day in meetings, emails, and real work conversations. Let's build your workplace fluency, one clean sentence at a time. 1. Let's get started. 2. Thanks for making time today. 3. I appreciate everyone joining on short notice. 4. Before we begin, can everyone hear me clearly? 5. Can you see my screen? 6. Let's quickly review the agenda. 7. The goal today is to align on next steps. 8. I'd like to focus on the most important items first. 9. We can leave time at the end for questions. 10. Let's start with a quick update from each team. Another way. Let's begin with a brief update from each group. 11. I'll share some context before we dive in. 12. Here's the background in 2 minutes. 13. Just to confirm, we're meeting for 30 minutes. 14. If anything is unclear, please stop me. 15. I'll keep this concise and action-focused. 16. Does everyone have the latest version of the document? 17. I'll give everyone a moment to open the file. 18. Please let me know if you're seeing an older draft. 19. Let's make sure we're talking about the same scope. 20. To clarify, this is for Q3, not Q2. Another way. Just to be clear, this applies to Q3, not Q2. 21. When I say launch, I mean the customer-facing release. 22. Can we align on definitions before we decide? 23. What's the main outcome we want from this meeting? 24. Are we aligned on the priority here? 25. I'd like to hear different perspectives. 26. Who wants to start? 27. Let's go round and get quick input. 28. What are your thoughts on this approach? 29. What risks do you see? 30. I'm open to other options if there's a better path. Another way, I'm happy to consider alternatives if you have a stronger option. 31. I agree with that direction. 32. That makes sense to me. 33. I see your point. 34. I understand the reasoning, but I have a concern. 35. I'm not sure that will scale long term. 36. I'm worried about the timeline. 37. I'm concerned about the impact on customers. 38. Could you share the data behind that? 39. Do we have numbers to support this? 40. Let's separate facts from assumptions. Another way. Let's distinguish what we know from what we're guessing. 41. What's the customer impact if we delay? 42. What happens if we do nothing? 43. What would success look like? 44. How are we measuring results? 45. Let's agree on the success metrics. 46. Can we define done for this? 47. What's the minimum we can ship safely? 48. Would a smaller pilot reduce risk? 49. What if we test this with one region first? 50. Let's weigh the pros and cons. Another way. Let's look at the benefits and trade-offs. Quick check, 3 prompts, then the natural answers. You want to ask someone to explain again. Politely, you can say, "Could you walk me through that one more time?" You want to pause a topic without rejecting it. You can say, "Let's park that for now and come back to it." You want to confirm agreement before moving on. You can say, "Are we aligned on this before we proceed?" 51. Let's not get stuck on details yet. 52. We can refine the details after we choose a direction. 53. Let's capture that as an open question. 54. I'll note that down. 55. Can someone take ownership of this item? 56. Who's best positioned to lead this? 57. Let's assign an owner and a due date. 58. I can take this one if no one else is free. 59. Could you take the first pass and share a draft? 60. Let's confirm responsibilities before we end. Another way. Let's lock in ownership before we wrap up. 61. Here's what I'm hearing so far. 62. The key point is that we need a decision today. 63. Let me summarize the options. 64. Option 1 is faster, but it has higher risk. 65. Option 2 is safer, but it takes more time. 66. Based on the discussion, I recommend option 2. 67. Does anyone strongly disagree? 68. If there are no objections, we'll move forward. 69. Let's decide now so we can unblock the team. 70. We're making good progress, so let's keep the momentum. Another way we're moving well, so let's stay focused and keep going. 71. What are the immediate next steps? 72. I'll send a recap after this call. 73. I'll include action items and owners in the recap. 74. Please correct me if I missed anything. 75. Let's confirm the deadline for each action item. 76. What's a realistic timeline for this deliverable? 77. If we need more time, we should flag it early. 78. What's blocking us right now? 79. What support do you need to move forward? 80. Let me know what you need from me. Another way. Tell me how I can help you move this along. 81. Are there any dependencies we should call out? 82. This depends on approval from the legal team. 83. We're waiting on access to the new system. 84. Once we have access, we can complete the review. 85. If the scope changes, we'll update the plan. 86. Let's document the decision so it's clear later. 87. I'll update the tracker right after this meeting. 88. Can we agree to revisit this in 2 weeks? 89. Let's schedule a follow-up to check progress. 90. I'll send a calendar invite shortly. Another way, I'll share a calendar invite in a moment. 91. Thanks, everyone, for the input today. 92. This was a productive discussion. 93. I appreciate you raising that concern. 94. Please message me if you think of anything else. 95. I'll stay online for a minute in case there are questions. 96. Let's switch to email for the remaining details. 97. I'm sending this to confirm what we agreed on. 98. As discussed, we'll proceed with the updated plan. 99. I'm following up on the request we mentioned earlier. 100. Could you please share an update by end of day? Another way, would you be able to send me an update before close of business? Great 100 lines down. The next sentences will help you sound clear, polite, and efficient in everyday work messages. Now let's shift to email and chat messages, because clear writing is often where people get promoted. The goal is simple, sound professional, be easy to work with, and move things forward without sounding pushy. 101. I'm writing to follow up on my previous message. 102. Just checking in to see if you had a chance to review this. 103. When you have a moment, could you take a look and share your thoughts? 104. I wanted to flag this since the deadline is approaching. 105. Thank you for your help on this. 106. I appreciate your time and support. 107. Could you confirm you received the document? 108. Please let me know if the attachment didn't come through. 109. I've attached the latest version for your review. 110. For visibility. I'm including the updated timeline below. Another way. For your reference, I'm sharing the updated timeline here. 111. Can you confirm the expected delivery date? 112. What's the status of this request? 113. Are we still on track to complete this by Friday? 114. If there's any risk to the timeline, please let me know today. 115. If you need more time, we can adjust the plan. 116. I'm happy to discuss this live if that's easier. 117. Would a quick call help us align faster? 118. Do you have 10 minutes today to sync? 119. I'm available this afternoon if you'd like to talk. 120. Please let me know what time works best for you. Another way. Tell me a time that works on your end. 121. I'd like to clarify one point before we proceed. 122. To confirm, you're asking for the final version by Wednesday. Correct. 123. Just to make sure I understand, the scope includes items A and B only. 124. If I'm misunderstanding, please correct me. 125. Here's my current understanding of the request. 126. Based on your note, I'll move forward with the updated approach. 127. I'll start on this today and share a draft shortly. 128. I can send a first draft by tomorrow morning. 129. I'll prioritize this and keep you posted. 130. I'll circle back with an update by end of day. Another way, I'll follow up with a status update before the day ends. 131. Thanks for the quick turnaround. 132. I appreciate you getting back to me so fast. 133. That works for me. 134. Yes, I'm aligned with that plan. 135. I'm good with moving forward as proposed. 136. I support this direction. 137. I have a few questions before we finalize. 138. Could you clarify the expected output format? 139. Do you have an example we can reference? 140. If possible, please share a sample so we can match it. Another way, if you have a sample, please send it so we can align on the format. 141. I'm not able to meet that deadline as written. 142. I can meet it if we reduce the scope. 143. If the scope stays the same, we'll need an extension. 144. The earliest I can deliver this is Monday. 145. Would it work if I send a partial update today and the full version tomorrow? 146. I want to set expectations early to avoid surprises. 147. There's a dependency we need resolved first. 148. We're currently blocked by access approvals. 149. Once access is granted, we can proceed immediately. 150. I'll escalate this if we don't hear back by noon. Another way. If we don't get a response by midday, I'll escalate it. Quick check. 3 quick scenarios, then the natural lines. You want to politely say you're waiting on something. You can say, we're currently blocked until we receive approval. You want to propose a compromise on timing. You can say, I can send a partial update today and the full version tomorrow. You want to set expectations without sounding negative. You can say, I want to set expectations early to avoid surprises. 151. Could you please prioritize this request? 152. This is time sensitive, so I'd appreciate a quick response. 153. If you can't get to it today, please let me know when you can. 154. I'm flexible on the approach, but we need a decision by tomorrow. 155. Please reply all so everyone stays aligned. 156. I'm looping in the team for awareness. 157. I'm adding James here since he owns this area. 158. I'm copying my manager for visibility. 159. Let's keep all updates in this thread. 160. To avoid confusion, please use this email thread for replies. Another way to keep things clear, please respond within this thread. 161. Here are the next steps as I understand them. 162. Action item 1 is to review the draft by Thursday. 163. Action item 2 is to confirm the final requirements. 164. Action item 3 is to schedule the kickoff meeting. 165. Please confirm these action items are accurate. 166. If you approve, I'll proceed with implementation. 167. If you have concerns, please share them today. 168. I'd rather address issues now than later. 169. This is a small change, but it affects the timeline. 170. This update will impact the reporting workflow. Another way this change will affect how we handle reporting. 171. Can you confirm who the decision maker is? 172. Who should sign off on the final version? 193. Do we need legal review before we send this to the client? 174. Please advise on the approval process. 175. I'll wait for your confirmation before moving forward. 176. I'm holding off until we align on scope. 177. Thanks for pointing that out. I've updated the doc. 178. I've incorporated your feedback in the latest draft. 179. Please review the highlighted changes. 180. If you're okay with it, I'll finalize and send it out. Another way. If this looks good to you, I'll finalize it and share it. 181. I'm sorry for the delay, and thanks for your patience. 182. Apologies for the confusion. Let me clarify. 183. That was my mistake, and I've corrected it. 184. I take responsibility for the oversight. 185. Here's what I'm doing to prevent this going forward. 186. We ran into an unexpected issue, but it's now resolved. 187. We're back on track and monitoring closely. 188. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. 189. Please let me know if you have any concerns. 190. If you disagree with this plan, I'd like to hear your reasoning. Another way, if you see it differently. Please share your perspective. 191. I'd like to propose a small adjustment to the plan. 192. The revised plan reduces risk and keeps us on schedule. 193. I can share a short summary if helpful. 194. For convenience. Here's the one-paragraph summary. 195. I'm happy to revise this based on your input. 196. If you approve, I'll send the final version today. 197. I'll close the loop once this is completed. 198. Thanks again for your partnership on this. 199. I appreciate your collaboration and quick responses. 200. Please confirm receipt, and I'll proceed with the next step. Another way. Let me know you received this, and I'll move forward. Nice work, 200 lines done. The next set will give you strong sentences for scheduling, priorities, and deadline conversations that come up constantly at work. Let's make scheduling and timelines feel easy. Because the fastest way to sound professional is to be clear about time, priorities, and what happens next. 201. Are you free for a quick sync today? 202. Do you have a few minutes to talk this through? 203. What does your calendar look like this week? 204. Can we meet sometime tomorrow morning? 205. I'm available between 2 and 4 p.m. 206. If that time doesn't work, feel free to suggest another. 207. Could we move this meeting to later in the week? 208. I need to reschedule due to a conflict. 209. Thanks for being flexible. 210. I'll send an updated invite with the new time. Another way, I'll resend the calendar invite with the revised time. 211. Can we keep this meeting to 15 minutes? 212. Let's keep it short and focus on decisions. 213. We can handle the details async over email. 214. I'll share a pre-read so we can move faster. 215. Please review the document before the meeting. 216. If you can, add comments directly in the doc. 217. Let's use the comments to resolve questions early. 218. I'll consolidate feedback and propose a final version. 219. What's the latest we can decide without impacting delivery? 220. If we don't decide today, we'll likely slip the timeline. Another way. If we don't decide today, the schedule will probably move. 221. What's the top priority right now? 222. Let's confirm what's most urgent. 223. We may need to deprioritize something to make room. 224. If everything is urgent, nothing is urgent. 225. Let's rank these items by impact. 226. Which deliverable is driving the deadline? 227. What's the critical path here? 228. Let's identify the main blocker. 229. This task is dependent on the vendor response. 230. We can't start until we have the final requirements. Another way. We can't begin until the requirements are confirmed. 231. Can we confirm the scope before we estimate? 232. Are we doing the full version or a simplified version? 233. Let's separate the must-haves from the nice-to-haves. 234. If we cut scope, we can ship sooner. 235. If scope expands, we'll need more time or more people. 236. Let's avoid scope creep by documenting changes. 237. What's included and what's explicitly out of scope? 238. I want to make sure we're not overcommitting. 239. I'd rather under-promise and over-deliver. 240. Let's set a realistic timeline we can actually meet. Another way, let's choose a timeline that's achievable, not optimistic. 2:41. What's the expected turnaround time? 2:42. How long will the review take on your side? 2:43. Can we get approval by Thursday? 2:44. We need sign-off before we can proceed. 2:45. Once we get approval, we'll start implementation. 2:46. We should build in time for testing. 2:47. Let's allocate time for a final quality check. 2:48. I'd like to do a quick risk review before launch. 2:49. In a minute, you'll learn a clean way to push back on a deadline without sounding negative. 250. Given current capacity, we can deliver by Tuesday at the earliest. Another way, with current bandwidth. Tuesday is the soonest we can deliver. Quick check, 3 common situations, then the natural lines. You need more time without sounding unreliable. You can say, given current capacity, Tuesday is the earliest we can deliver. You want to confirm priorities before working late? You can say, before I commit extra hours, can we confirm the top priority? You want to protect the timeline with a polite warning. You can say, if the scope changes, the timeline will need to adjust. 251. Before I commit extra hours, can we confirm the top priority? 252. I can take this on, but I'll need to drop something else. 233. If this is urgent, what should I pause to make room? 254. I can start today, but I won't finish until Monday. 255. I can deliver a draft first, then refine based on feedback. 256. Let's agree on a draft deadline and a final deadline. 257. I'll share a working version by end of day. 258. Please treat it as a draft, not the final. 259. If you need a final today, we'll have to reduce the scope. 260. I want to be transparent about the trade-offs. Another way I want to be upfront about what we can and can't do. 261. We're currently at risk of missing the deadline. 262. The risk is mainly due to the approval delay. 263. If approvals come in today, we can still hit the target date. 264. If approvals slip, we'll need to push the release. 265. I'll flag this as a timeline risk in the tracker. 266. Let's communicate the risk early, not at the last minute. 267. I'd rather share bad news early than late. 268. Can we escalate this to unblock progress? 269. Who can help remove this blocker? 270. I'm requesting support to resolve this quickly. Another way I'm asking for help to clear this blocker fast. 271. Can you confirm who owns the final decision? 272. I want to make sure the right person is reviewing this. 273. Let's avoid multiple conflicting directions. 274. If we get one clear decision, we can move faster. 275. I'm aligning with the stakeholders before we proceed. 276. I'll send a short summary to confirm alignment. 277. Please reply with any concerns by tomorrow morning. 278. If I don't hear back, I'll assume we're good to proceed. 279. I'm not trying to rush you, but we need to keep moving. 280. This decision impacts 3 other teams downstream. Another way. This choice affects several teams that are waiting on us. 281. Let's define the deliverables clearly. 282. The deliverable is the final report and the slide deck. 283. The first milestone is the draft review. 284. The second milestone is stakeholder sign-off. 285. The final milestone is production release. 286. Let's track progress against these milestones. 287. I'll update the status every afternoon. 288. Today's status is on track, with 1 open dependency. 289. I'll flag any changes as soon as they come up. 290. Please let me know immediately if anything slips. Another way, if anything changes. Please tell me right away. 291. I'm blocked until I receive the data export. 292. Once I have the export, I can finish the analysis. 293. If the export is delayed, the report will be delayed. 294. Could you share the export by noon? 295. If noon is not possible, what time can you commit to? 296. Let's agree on a time so we can plan accordingly. 297. I'll adjust my schedule based on your update. 298. Thanks. That helps me plan the rest of the work. 299. I'll confirm the revised timeline in writing. 300. I'll send a final recap with dates, owners, and next steps. Another way, I'll share a final summary with deadlines, owners, and what happens next. Great 300 lines complete. From here, you'll get powerful phrases for project execution, status updates, and handling problems calmly under pressure. Let's start with clean status updates, because when you can explain progress clearly, people trust you with bigger work. 301. Here's a quick status update on my side. 302. I made progress on the draft and I'm now reviewing comments. 303. Today I'm focusing on the remaining high priority items. 304. I completed the first milestone and started the second. 305. The main deliverable is on track for Friday. 306. I'm slightly behind on one task, but I'm catching up today. 307. I'm blocked on one item and need support to move forward. 308. The blocker is access to the shared folder. 309. If access is restored today, I can finish the analysis. 310. The next step is to validate the results with the team. Another way. Next, I'll validate the results with the team. 311. I'm planning to share a draft for review by tomorrow. 312. I'll incorporate feedback and send the final version by Friday. 313. I'm tracking progress in the project board. 314. I updated the ticket with notes and screenshots. 315. I added a clear description of the issue and expected behavior. 316. I need confirmation on one requirement before I proceed. 317. I'm waiting on a decision from the stakeholder group. 318. Once we get the decision, we can finalize the plan. 319. I'll keep the scope tight to protect the timeline. 320. I'm prioritizing the highest impact work first. Another way I'm focusing on the work that drives the most impact. 321. I reviewed the request and I have a few clarifying questions. 322. Can you confirm the target audience for this deliverable? 323. Do you want a detailed report or a concise summary? 324. I can tailor the level of detail based on your preference. 325. To avoid rework, I'd like to confirm expectations up front. 326. I'm aligning with the requirements before I start building. 327. I'll share a quick outline so you can approve the direction. 328. If the outline looks good, I'll move into execution. 329. I'm aiming for a version that's clear and easy to maintain. 330. I'll keep the solution simple unless complexity is necessary. Another way I'll keep it straightforward unless there's a strong reason to add complexity. 331. I found an issue that could affect the deadline. 332. The issue is smaller than it sounds, but it needs attention. 333. I've identified the root cause and I'm working on a fix. 334. I'll test the fix and share results today. 335. If the fix fails, I have a backup plan. 336. I'll document the decision so it's easy to reference later. 337. I'm adding this to the risk list for visibility. 338. The risk is manageable if we address it this week. 339. I recommend we tackle this now rather than later. 340. If we delay, the cost to fix it will increase. Another way. The longer we wait, the harder and more expensive it becomes to fix. 341. I'm going to escalate this to prevent further delay. 342. I'm escalating because it impacts multiple teams. 343. I'll keep the message factual and action-oriented. 344. I'll propose 2 options so we can decide quickly. 345. Option 1 is faster but requires more support. 346. Option 2 is slower but uses existing resources. 347. I'm comfortable with either option, depending on priority. 348. My recommendation is option 1 if the deadline is firm. 349. If the deadline is flexible, option 2 is safer. 350. Let's confirm the priority so we choose the right trade-off. Another way. Let's confirm what matters most so we can choose the best trade-off. Quick check, 3 common project moments, then the natural lines. You need to say you're blocked without sounding helpless. You can say, I'm blocked on one item and need support to move forward. You need to escalate without sounding dramatic. You can say, I'm escalating because it impacts multiple teams. You need to protect scope politely. You can say, to avoid rework, I'd like to confirm expectations up front. 351. I want to make sure we're aligned before we invest more time. 352. Could you confirm which option you prefer? 353. If you don't have a preference, I can recommend one and proceed. 354. I'll proceed with the safest option unless I hear otherwise. 355. I'd like to confirm the acceptance criteria. 356. What needs to be true for this to be approved? 357. Are there any compliance requirements we should consider? 358. Do we need a review from security or legal? 359. I'll schedule time for a quick review if needed. 360. I'll include a checklist so nothing gets missed. Another way, I'll add a checklist to make sure we cover everything. 361. I tested the changes and the results look stable. 362. I ran through the main use cases to confirm behavior. 363. I also tested edge cases to reduce risk. 364. I documented the test results in the ticket. 365. I'm ready for someone else to review my changes. 366. Can you take a quick look and approve when you can? 367. If you notice anything off, please comment directly on the ticket. 368. Once approved, I'll merge and deploy. 369. After deployment, I'll monitor for any issues. 370. If anything breaks, I'll roll back immediately. Another way. If we see issues, I'll revert the change right away. 371. I'd like to flag one concern before we ship. 372. The current approach meets the deadline, but it adds technical debt. 373. We can accept the debt now and clean it up next sprint. 374. Or we can do it properly now, which will take longer. 375. What's the preferred trade-off from a leadership perspective? 376. I can summarize the risks in one paragraph. 377. I'll share the summary so we can decide quickly. 378. If we ship now, we should schedule follow-up work. 379. I'll create a ticket for the cleanup task. 380. I'll propose a due date so it doesn't get forgotten. Another way, I'll set a due date to make sure the cleanup actually happens. 381. I'm seeing conflicting feedback from different stakeholders. 382. To avoid confusion, I'd like one clear decision maker. 383. Can we confirm who has final approval? 384. Once we have that, I'll align the work to their direction. 385. I'll share a short decision note for confirmation. 386. Please reply with approval or requested changes. 387. If there's no response by tomorrow, I'll proceed with the documented plan. 308. I want to avoid last-minute surprises. 389. I'd rather confirm now than rework later. 390. Thanks for helping us keep this moving. Another way. Thank you for helping us maintain momentum. 391. I'm going to start the next task while we wait for approval. 392. That way, we keep progress moving without taking unnecessary risk. 393. I'll avoid work that could be wasted if the decision changes. 394. I'll focus on tasks that are safe, regardless of the direction. 395. I'll share another update once I complete the next milestone. 396. If anything changes, I'll communicate immediately. 397. I appreciate the quick responses. It really helps. 398. Let's keep updates concise and action-focused. 399. I'll send a brief recap with owners and deadlines. 400. Thanks, everyone. This alignment will save us time later. Another way, thanks. Everyone getting aligned now will save us time later. Great 400 lines complete. The next set will give you strong, natural sentences for collaboration, feedback, and working smoothly across teams. Now, let's talk about collaboration, because strong teamwork language makes you sound calm, capable, and easy to work with, even when things get complicated. 401. Thanks for jumping in to help with this. 402. I really appreciate the support. 403. Could you take a quick look and share your feedback? 404. When you have time. Can you sanity check my approach? 405. I'd value your perspective on this. 406. Can we align on the goal before we debate the details? 407. I want to make sure we're solving the right problem. 408. Let's confirm our shared understanding. 409. Here's what I think we're trying to achieve. 410. Does that match your understanding? Another way, is that how you see it as well? 401. I may be missing something, so please challenge my assumptions. 412. If you disagree, I'd rather hear it now. 413. Let's surface concerns early while we still have options. 414. I'm open to changing the plan if the data points elsewhere. 415. Can you walk me through your reasoning? 416. Help me understand what's driving your recommendation. 417. What trade-offs are you prioritizing? 418. If we choose this option, what do we give up? 419. What risks should we plan for? 420. Let's put the risks on the table. Another way. Let's openly list the risks before we decide. 421. I think we're aligned on the outcome, but not on the approach. 422. That's okay. We can work through it. 423. Let's focus on facts and keep it objective. 424. I don't want this to become personal. 425. Can we agree on the criteria for a good decision? 426. If we agree on criteria, the decision becomes easier. 427. Let's document the criteria so we're consistent. 428. I'll write up a short decision note for the team. 429. I'll keep it brief and action-oriented. 430. I'll share the note for review before we finalize. Another way, I'll send a short write-up for your review before we lock it in. 431. Can you review this by tomorrow morning? 432. If tomorrow is tight, what timing works for you? 433. I can adjust my plan based on your availability. 434. I'd rather get a quick yes or no than silence. 435. If you're not sure, tell me what you need to decide. 436. What information would make this decision easier? 437. If we need more data, we should define exactly what to measure. 438. Let's avoid analysis paralysis. 439. We can start with a small experiment and learn fast. 440. I propose we run a pilot and review results next week. Another way. Let's do a small pilot and revisit the decision next week. 441. I can own the pilot setup if you can support the review. 442. Would you be able to validate the results with me? 443. I'll share a simple dashboard so it's easy to track. 444. I'll keep everyone posted as results come in. 445. In a minute, I'll give you a polite sentence for pushing back when feedback is unclear. 446. For now. Can we confirm who needs to be involved? 447. Do we need input from finance or legal? 448. I want to avoid surprises from stakeholders later. 449. Let's loop them in early for alignment. 450. I'll send a quick message to get their input. Another way, I'll reach out briefly to gather their feedback. Quick check. 3 collaboration moments, then the natural lines. You want to ask for feedback without sounding demanding. You can say, could you take a quick look and share your feedback? You want to keep a disagreement professional. You can say, let's focus on facts and keep it objective. You want to push back because the feedback is unclear. You can say, could you be more specific about what you'd like changed? 451. Could you be more specific about what you'd like changed? 452. If you can point to an example, I can match it. 453. What does better look like in this context? 454. Are you looking for more detail or more clarity? 455. If you tell me the priority, I can revise faster. 456. I'll address the high priority comments first. 457. I'll respond to each comment so it's clear what changed. 458. If I disagree with a comment, I'll explain why. 459. I'm not ignoring it. I just want to discuss the trade-off. 460. Let's resolve this one point together. Another way. Let's talk through this one item and agree on the best path. 461. Thanks for the candid feedback. It helps. 462. I know it's not always easy to give direct input. 463. I'm taking this seriously and I'll adjust accordingly. 464. I've updated the draft based on your notes. 465. Please check the revised section and confirm it works. 466. If it looks good, I'll apply the same style to the rest. 467. I'm happy to iterate, but I want to avoid endless cycles. 468. Can we agree on a final review deadline? 469. After that deadline, we'll consider it approved unless flagged. 470. I'll mark the document as final once we get sign-off. Another way. Once we have approval, I'll label it as final and distribute it. 471. I want to make sure this handoff is smooth. 472. Here's what you need from me to continue. 473. Here are the files, links, and access details. 474. Let me know if anything is missing. 475. I'll stay available for questions during the transition. 476. If you run into issues, message me and I'll respond quickly. 477. I'll also add notes in the tracker for context. 478. This should reduce back and forth and save time. 479. Thanks for partnering with us on this. 480. I appreciate the cross-team collaboration. Another way, thanks for working closely with us across teams. 481. We should align on communication channels. 482. For urgent issues, please message me directly. 483. For non-urgent updates, the project thread is fine. 484. Let's keep decisions in writing to avoid confusion. 485. I'll summarize decisions after each meeting. 486. If you think my summary is off, please correct it. 487. I want the record to be accurate. 488. Let's make sure everyone has the same information. 489. This will help us move faster and reduce rework. 490. I'm confident we can deliver if we stay aligned. Another way I'm confident we'll deliver if we keep alignment tight. 491. If you're overloaded, I can help take work off your plate. 492. Tell me what's most painful right now. 493. If you delegate one thing, what should it be? 494. I can take a first pass and you can refine it. 495. That way, You only review instead of starting from zero. 496. I'll keep the quality bar high. 497. I'll ask questions early so I don't waste your time. 498. Thanks again. I know you're juggling a lot. 499. Let's keep momentum and finish strong. 500. We're aligned on the plan. And I'll move this forward today. Another way, we're on the same page. So I'll push this ahead today. Great 500 lines complete. Coming up, you'll get practical sentences for calls, remote work, and handling awkward moments smoothly, like audio issues, unclear ownership, and last-minute changes. Now let's handle calls and remote work, because the right phrases make you sound calm and competent. Even when things get messy. 501. Thanks for joining the call. 502. Can everyone hear me, okay? 503. I can hear you, but your audio is a little choppy. 504. Do you mind repeating that last sentence? 505. Your mic is cutting in and out. 506. It might help if you turn off your camera for a moment. 507. I'm going to switch to headphones. 1 second. 508. I'll rejoin if I get disconnected. 509. There seems to be a slight delay, so we may talk over each other. 510. Let's do a quick audio check before we start. Another way. Let's confirm the audio is working before we begin. 511. If you're speaking, please unmute. 512. I think you're on mute. 513. I can see your screen, but the text is too small to read. 514. Could you zoom in a bit? 515. Can you share the link in the chat as well? 516. I'm having trouble accessing that file. 517. It says I don't have permission. 518. Can you grant me access or share an alternate link? 519. I'll take notes and send a summary after the call. 520. Let's keep questions until the end, unless something is urgent. Another way. Let's save questions for the end unless it's time sensitive. 521. I'd like to make sure we stay on time. 522. We have 10 minutes left, so let's focus on decisions. 523. To keep us moving, I'll propose a next step. 524. If anyone disagrees, please speak up now. 525. I want to make sure quieter voices are included. 526. If you haven't spoken yet, I'd love your input. 527. Let's hear from the team in Asia first, given the time zone. 528. Thanks for joining late at night. I appreciate it. 529. We'll keep the remaining items short out of respect for time. 530. If we can't resolve it now, we'll handle it asynchronously. Another way. If we can't settle it today, we'll finish it over email. 531. Let's confirm the decision and move on. 532. The decision is to proceed with the revised timeline. 533. We'll keep the scope limited to the must-have features. 534. We'll revisit the nice-to-haves after launch. 535. I'll document that in the meeting notes. 536. I'm adding an action item for the follow-up. 537. Who can own that task? 538. What's a reasonable due date for that? 539. Please message me if you can't meet the due date. 540. I'll send a calendar invite for the follow-up meeting. Another way, I'll schedule a follow-up and send the invite shortly. 541. Let's do a quick recap before we end. 542. First, we agreed on the scope. 543. Second, we confirmed the deadline and milestones. 544. Third, we assigned owners for each action item. 545. If I missed anything, please correct me now. 546. I'll send the notes within an hour. 547. Please reply to the notes if anything is inaccurate. 548. I'll assume the notes are correct unless I hear otherwise. 549. Before we close, are there any major risks we haven't discussed? 550. Let's align on one clear next step for today. Another way. Let's end with a single, clear action for today. Quick check. 3 remote work moments, then the natural lines. If someone's audio is unclear, you can say, I can hear you, but your audio is a little choppy. If you want to protect time, you can say, we have 10 minutes left, so let's focus on decisions. If you want to confirm accuracy, you can say, please reply to the notes if anything is inaccurate. 551. I'll stay on for 2 minutes in case anyone has a quick question. 552. If you need a deeper discussion, let's schedule time separately. 553. I'd rather not solve this in a rushed way at the end. 554. Thanks again, everyone, for the time and collaboration. 555. I'm going to drop from the call now. 556. Can you send me the recording when it's ready? 557. Please share the final deck after you update it. 558. I'll review it and add comments by tomorrow. 559. If you need feedback sooner, please tell me. 560. I can prioritize it if the timing is critical. Another way, if it's urgent. I can move it to the top of my list. 561. Let's be mindful of time zones when we schedule the next meeting. 562. What time works for everyone across regions? 563. Could we rotate meeting times to share the burden? 564. I don't want the same team to always take late calls. 565. If you can't attend live, please send your input in advance. 566. We'll make decisions live, but we'll document them clearly. 567. I'll share the decisions and action items right after. 568. If you disagree with a decision, please raise it quickly. 569. It's easier to adjust early than after work starts. 570. If this isn't your area, feel free to pull in the right owner. Another way. If this doesn't sit with you, please loop in the correct owner. 571. I want to be respectful, but I need a clear answer today. 572. Is this approved, or do you need changes first? 573. If you need changes, please list them specifically. 574. If you're not the approver, who should we contact? 575. We're losing time waiting for unclear ownership. 576. Let's confirm who is responsible for the final sign-off. 577. Once we have that, we can move quickly. 578. I'll send a short message to confirm ownership. 579. Please respond with a name, so we don't guess. 580. I'll proceed once we have a confirmed owner. Another way. As soon as we confirm the owner, I'll move forward. 581. I'm going to summarize this in one sentence. 582. We need approval today to keep the deadline. 583. If approval slips, the release date will move. 584. I'm not trying to pressure anyone, but the timeline is tight. 585. Can we agree on a firm response time? 586. If you can't respond today, what's the earliest you can respond? 587. I'll update the plan based on your response time. 588. Thanks. That clarity helps us plan the work. 589. I'll communicate the updated plan to the wider team. 590. I'll keep the message short and clear to avoid confusion. Another way, I'll keep it concise so everyone understands the plan. 591. If anything changes, please message me directly. 592. I'd rather be notified immediately than find out later. 593. I'll adjust quickly if I have early warning. 594. If there's a problem, let's focus on solutions. 595. We can stay calm and still move fast. 596. I'll propose 2 options so we can decide quickly. 597. If you choose option A, we can deliver sooner with higher risk. 598. If you choose option B, we reduce risk but need more time. 599. Please tell me which option you prefer and why. 600. Thanks for the clear direction. I'll execute and share an update soon. Another way. Thanks for the guidance. I'll move ahead and send a status update shortly. Great 600 lines completed. Up next, you'll learn the exact sentences that help you handle clients, expectations, and negotiations without sounding too aggressive or too passive. 601. Thanks for meeting with us today. 602. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss your goals. 603. Before we dive in, could you share your top priority? 604. What would a successful outcome look like for you? 605. I want to make sure we understand your expectations. 606. Here's what we can deliver within the current scope. 607. Here's what would be considered out of scope. 608. To avoid surprises, I'll outline the timeline clearly. 609. We can start as soon as we have written approval. 610. Based on what you shared, I recommend this approach. Another way. Given your priorities, this approach is the best fit. 611. Let me summarize what I heard to confirm we're aligned. 612. Your main goals are speed, reliability, and clear reporting. 613. We can meet those goals with a phased rollout. 614. Phase 1 covers the essentials, and Phase 2 adds enhancements. 615. This reduces risk while keeping momentum. 616. If you prefer a single launch, we can do that as well. 617. The trade-off is a longer timeline and higher complexity. 618. I want to be transparent about trade-offs up front. 619. Do you have any constraints we should factor in? 620. Are there any non-negotiables we need to respect? Another way. Are there any requirements that absolutely can't change? 621. Who will be the primary point of contact on your side? 622. Who will provide final approval before we proceed? 623. If approvals are delayed, the delivery date will shift. 624. We'll keep you informed early if we see any risk. 625. I'll send a clear recap after this call. 626. It will include scope, timeline, pricing, and next steps. 627. If anything looks off, please reply and we'll correct it. 628. We want this to be easy to work with and easy to maintain. 629. We'll keep communication simple and consistent. 630. If you ever feel unclear, please tell us immediately. Another way, if anything is confusing, let us know right away. 631. Let's align on the decision timeline so we can plan resources. 632. When do you need to make a decision by? 633. If you decide this week, we can hold the current schedule. 634. If the decision slips, we may need to adjust start dates. 635. I'd rather set realistic expectations than overpromise. 636. We can move quickly, but we don't want to cut corners. 637. Quality is part of the deliverable, not an extra. 638. We'll also plan time for review and revisions. 639. Typically, we include 2 rounds of revisions. 640. If you need more rounds, we can scope that separately. Another way. If you need additional revisions, we can add them as a separate item. 641. Could you share any examples of what you like? 642. If you have a reference, we can match the style and tone. 643. If you don't have examples, we can propose a direction. 644. We'll start with a draft, then refine based on feedback. 645. The faster we get feedback, the faster we can finalize. 646. If feedback is delayed, the delivery date will move. 647. I'll send reminders politely, but we'll need timely input. 648. We want to avoid last-minute changes right before launch. 649. If changes come late, we may need to adjust the timeline. 650. To protect quality, we'll confirm changes in writing. Another way to keep quality high, we'll document changes in writing. Quick check, 3 client-facing moments, then the natural lines. You want to set expectations about feedback timing. You can say, the faster we get feedback, the faster we can finalize. You want to explain why late changes affect delivery. You can say, if changes come late, we may need to adjust the timeline. You want to confirm alignment without sounding formal. You can say, let me summarize what I heard to confirm we're aligned. 651. If you're comfortable, we can walk through the proposal together. 652. I'll highlight the key sections and answer questions live. 653. The proposal includes deliverables, timeline, and pricing. 654. It also includes assumptions, so expectations are clear. 655. If any assumption is incorrect, we should update it now. 656. I'd rather adjust the plan early than renegotiate later. 657. For pricing, we offer 2 options based on scope. 658. Option A is a standard package with fixed deliverables. 659. Option B is more flexible and supports ongoing changes. 660. If budget is the main concern, we can reduce scope. Another way, if cost is the priority, we can scale back scope to fit the budget. 661. If timeline is the main concern, we can add resources. 662. Adding resources increases cost, but it shortens delivery time. 663. We can also prioritize a smaller first release. 664. That lets you see value sooner while we build the rest. 665. Many clients choose that approach to reduce risk. 666. If you need everything at once, we can do it with a longer plan. 667. Let's decide based on what matters most right now. 668. Do you want speed, lower cost, or maximum scope? 669. We can optimize for 2, but rarely all 3. 670. I want to make sure we're aligned on what we're optimizing for. Another way I want to confirm whether we're prioritizing speed, cost, or scope. 671. If you have internal deadlines, please share them. 672. We can plan around your events and reporting cycles. 603. Are there any critical dates we should avoid? 674. If your team is out next week, we should factor that in. 675. We can adjust the schedule to match your availability. 676. We'll also set up a regular check-in to stay aligned. 677. Weekly check-ins work well for most projects. 678. If weekly is too frequent, we can do bi-weekly updates. 679. For urgent topics, we'll message you immediately. 680. If there's an issue, we'll bring options, not just problems. Another way. If something goes wrong, we'll bring solutions and options. 681. I want to address one potential concern proactively. 682. The biggest risk is delayed approvals, not the build itself. 683. If we keep approvals moving, delivery will be smooth. 684. We'll make approvals easy with clear, simple choices. 685. We'll avoid long documents when a short summary works. 686. I'll propose decisions in a way that's easy to answer. 687. For example, option A or option B, with clear trade-offs. 688. If you'd like, we can also provide a one-page executive summary. 689. That helps leadership approve quickly. 690. If your stakeholders need a deeper dive, we can schedule it. Another way. If your stakeholders want more detail, we can set up a deeper review. 691. If you have concerns about price, tell me what range you had in mind. 692. If we know your target, we can design the right scope. 693. I don't want to sell you more than you need. 694. I want to recommend what will actually work for your situation. 695. If we can't meet the budget with the current scope, we'll be honest. 696. We can propose a smaller phase 1 to fit constraints. 697. Then we can expand later when you see results. 698. That approach keeps risk low and shows value quickly. 699. If you're ready, I'll send the final proposal for signature. 700. Once it's signed, we'll schedule kickoff and begin immediately. Another way, after signature, we'll book kickoff and start right away. Excellent 700 lines complete. The next set will help you handle professionalism under pressure, including accountability, performance, and difficult conversations in a calm, respectful way. 701. I'd like to address this directly so it doesn't linger. 702. I want to be respectful and clear at the same time. 703. Can we talk about what happened and how to prevent it? 704. My goal is to solve the issue, not assign blame. 705. Let's focus on what we can control going forward. 706. I take accountability for my part in this. 707. Here's what I could have done differently. 708. Here's what I'll do next time to avoid the same problem. 709. I also need clarity on expectations so I can deliver. 710. Can you confirm what good looks like for this task? Another way, could you define what success looks like for this task? 711. If priorities have changed, please tell me explicitly. 712. I can adapt quickly if I know what changed. 713. I want to avoid working on the wrong thing. 714. Can we align on the top priority for this week? 715. If everything is urgent, I need help ranking it. 716. I can take this on, but I can't take everything on. 717. I want to set a realistic commitment I can keep. 718. If you need a faster timeline, we'll need more resources. 719. If resources can't change, the timeline has to. 720. I'm raising this early so we have room to adjust. Another way I'm flagging this now so we can adjust before it's too late. 721. I want to clarify one concern about the current plan. 722. The plan works on paper, but it may not work in practice. 723. I'm worried it creates risk we don't need. 724. If we keep this approach, we should add a mitigation step. 725. I can propose a safer alternative that still meets the goal. 726. Would you be open to a small change to reduce risk? 727. I'm not trying to slow things down. I'm trying to protect quality. 728. I'd rather have a hard conversation now than a crisis later. 729. If we ship this as is, we may create more work next month. 730. I recommend we address the root cause, not just the symptom. Another way I suggest we fix the underlying issue, not just the surface problem. 731. I'd like to give you some feedback, if you're open to it. 732. My intent is to help, not criticize. 733. When deadlines shift without notice, it creates confusion downstream. 734. If you can flag changes earlier, it helps everyone plan. 735. I'm sharing this because I want us to work smoothly together. 736. On the positive side, your responsiveness has been great. 737. It makes a big difference when you reply quickly. 738. I'd love to keep that strength and add more predictability. 739. What do you need from me to make that easier? 740. I'm open to feedback as well, so please share it. Another way I welcome feedback too, so please tell me what I can improve. 741. I want to address a performance issue with care and clarity. 742. The output isn't meeting the expected standard right now. 743. Let's talk about what's getting in the way. 744. Is it a workload issue, a clarity issue, or a skill gap? 745. If we identify the cause, we can fix it faster. 746. I'm willing to support you, but we need to see improvement. 747. Let's agree on clear expectations and a short timeline. 748. I'll define the deliverables and the review cadence. 749. In a minute, you'll get a respectful line for disagreeing with a senior stakeholder without sounding defensive. 750. I see it differently, and I'd like to explain my reasoning. Another way, I have a different view, and I'd like to share the reasoning behind it. Quick check. 3 difficult moments. Then the natural lines. You need to disagree respectfully with someone senior. You can say, I see it differently, and I'd like to explain my reasoning. You need to set boundaries on workload. You can say, I can take this on, but I can't take everything on. You need to take accountability without over-apologizing. You can say, I take accountability for my part in this, and here's what I'll do differently next time. 751. I want to make sure we're deciding based on facts, not assumptions. 752. Can we look at the data together before we finalize? 753. If we don't have data, let's run a quick test. 754. A small test now can prevent a big mistake later. 755. I'm comfortable committing once we confirm the key variables. 756. If we proceed without clarity, we increase risk. 757. I'd rather move slightly slower than move fast in the wrong direction. 758. Let's confirm alignment with the stakeholders who will be impacted. 759. I'll send a short note to confirm expectations. 760. If there's no objection by tomorrow, I'll proceed with the plan. Another way. If I don't hear concerns by tomorrow, I'll move forward with the plan. 761. I want to raise a concern, and I'm bringing a solution too. 762. The concern is the timeline, and the solution is a smaller first release. 763. That way, we deliver value sooner and reduce risk. 764. If leadership needs everything at once, we'll need a revised schedule. 765. I can present both options and their trade-offs. 766. Tell me which constraint is fixed: time, cost, or scope. 767. Once we know the constraint, the decision becomes clearer. 768. I'll document the decision and communicate it consistently. 769. Consistency matters more than perfection in communication. 770. I want to make sure we're all telling the same story. Another way, I want us to communicate a single, consistent message. 771. If a mistake happens, I'll report it quickly and propose a fix. 772. I won't hide problems, because that makes them worse. 773. I'll share what happened, the impact, and the next steps. 774. I'll also share how we'll prevent it in the future. 775. If I need help, I'll ask early rather than struggle silently. 776. I'd rather escalate early than miss the deadline quietly. 777. I'm escalating this because it affects delivery and customer trust. 778. I'll keep the escalation factual and focused on actions. 779. I'll propose a clear ask, not a vague complaint. 780. What I need right now is a decision by end of day. Another way. The key need right now is a decision before close of business. 781. I want to set expectations for how we'll work together. 782. I'll communicate proactively and share risks early. 783. I'll keep updates short, clear, and consistent. 784. If I commit to a deadline, I'll protect it. 785. If I can't meet a deadline, I'll flag it immediately with options. 786. I'll treat everyone with respect, even under pressure. 787. I'll be direct, but I'll stay professional. 788. I'll focus on outcomes, not ego. 789. If there's conflict, I'll bring it back to the goal. 790. We can disagree and still collaborate effectively. Another way we can have different opinions and still work well together. 791. I'd like to understand your priorities so I can support them. 792. What's most important to you this quarter? 793. What would you like me to own, end to end? 794. Where do you want me to be more proactive? 795. If you want fewer updates, I can consolidate them. 796. If you want more detail, I can provide it in writing. 797. I'll adapt my communication style to what works best for you. 798. My goal is to make your job easier, not harder. 799. Thanks for the clarity. It helps me deliver better work. 800. I'll follow through on this and confirm progress by tomorrow. Another way, I'll take ownership and share a progress update by tomorrow. Great 800 lines complete. The next sentences will help you handle high-stakes moments like negotiations, tough no answers, and professional small talk that builds trust without feeling awkward. 801. I'd like to talk through the pricing and make sure it matches the scope. 802. Can we revisit the timeline and confirm what's realistic? 803. If we need a faster delivery, we'll need to adjust the budget or scope. 804. Let's align on what's fixed and what's flexible. 805. What's the most important outcome for you? Speed or cost? 806. If we prioritize speed, the cost will increase. 807. If we prioritize cost, the timeline will extend. 808. We can also reduce scope to fit both time and budget. 809. I can propose 2 options so you can choose quickly. 810. Option 1 is a smaller scope with a faster delivery. Another way, Option 1 is a leaner scope that ships sooner. 811. Option 2 is the full scope with a longer timeline. 812. I want to be transparent so there are no surprises later. 813. If this doesn't fit your budget, we can redesign the scope. 814. What budget range are you working within? 815. If you share a range, I can tailor a realistic proposal. 816. I want to make sure you're paying for what you truly need. 817. If this is a long-term partnership, we can phase the work. 818. A phased plan reduces risk and shows value sooner. 819. We can deliver a first version quickly, then iterate. 820. To confirm, you'd like a proposal with 2 pricing tiers. Another way, just to confirm. You want 2 pricing options to compare. 821. If you need a discount, we can discuss a reduced scope. 822. I'm open to flexibility, but I want to keep the quality high. 823. I can't commit to that price for the full scope as written. 824. What I can do is offer a smaller package at that price. 825. If we remove a few features, we can meet your target. 826. If those features are required, we'll need to adjust the budget. 827. Let's choose the option that fits your priorities best. 828. If you decide today, we can reserve a start date. 829. If you decide later, the start date may shift based on capacity. 830. I want to be fair and realistic about scheduling. Another way, I want to set expectations clearly about availability. 831. Could you share the decision timeline on your side? 832. Who else needs to approve this before we move forward? 833. If multiple people need approval, we should plan extra time. 834. I'd like to avoid last-minute changes after approval. 835. If changes come after sign-off, we'll need a change request. 836. A change request helps us track scope and protect the timeline. 837. We'll treat changes respectfully, but we'll document them. 838. That keeps things clear for everyone involved. 839. If you're unsure about something, let's clarify it now. 840. I can answer questions live, or I can send a written summary. Another way, I can walk you through it now or summarize it in writing. 841. I want to say no to the wrong request, not no to you. 842. I can't approve that as is, but I can suggest an alternative. 843. I'm not able to take this on this week due to existing commitments. 844. If it's urgent, I can help you find someone who has capacity. 845. If it can wait, I can schedule it for next week. 846. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. 847. If I commit, I want to be confident I can meet it. 848. I can support this, but I need a clearer definition of done. 849. Once we define done, I can estimate accurately. 850. I'm happy to help, but I need to reset expectations on timing. Another way I can help, but we need to adjust the timeline expectations. Quick check. 3 polite pushback moments. Then the natural lines. You need to say no without sounding harsh. You can say, I can't approve that as is, but I can suggest an alternative. You need to protect quality when someone is rushing. You can say, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You need to shift timing without refusing. You can say, I'm happy to help, but I need to reset expectations on timing. 851. If you need this today, I'll need to pause other work. 852. Which task should I deprioritize to make room? 853. If you confirm the priority, I'll adjust my schedule. 854. I can deliver a draft today, but the final will be tomorrow. 855. I can deliver the core content first, then polish later. 856. That way, you can review the substance early. 857. If the substance is approved, we can refine the details quickly. 858. I want to confirm we're aligned before I invest more time. 859. Can you confirm the top 3 requirements? 860. If we agree on those, I can move fast and stay focused. Another way. If we align on the top 3 needs, I can execute quickly. 861. Let's talk about trade-offs so we make the right decision. 862. The trade-off is speed versus thoroughness. 863. If we move fast, we accept more risk. 864. If we reduce risk, we need more time. 865. I'd like your guidance on which trade-off to choose. 866. If you want my recommendation, I'd choose the safer path. 867. If the deadline is immovable, I'll support the faster option. 868. Either way, I'll document the decision and the rationale. 869. That way, the team stays aligned later. 870. If priorities change, we can revisit the decision with context. Another way, if priorities shift, we can revisit the decision with the reasoning documented. 871. I'd like to ask a quick question about your expectations. 872. What does a great outcome look like from your perspective? 873. Are you aiming for a quick win or a long-term solution? 874. If it's a quick win, we should keep scope tight. 870. If it's long-term, we should invest in a scalable approach. 876. I can support either, but the plan will be different. 877. Let's choose the approach that fits the business goal. 878. If we align on the goal, the details become easier. 879. I'll send a 1-paragraph summary of the agreed goal. 880. Please reply approved or add changes directly. Another way. Please respond with approved or tell me what to change. 881. Now let's switch to small talk that builds trust at work. 882. I want it to feel natural, not forced. 883. How's your week going so far? 884. How have things been on your side? 885. How's the workload this week? 886. I hope your day is going smoothly. 807. Thanks for your time today. I know you're busy. 808. Where are you calling in from today? 889. How's the weather where you are? 890. I heard there was a holiday recently. How was it? Another way, I heard you had a holiday. How did it go? 891. I like your setup. It looks very professional. 892. That was a great point as a meeting. Thanks for sharing it. 893. I appreciated your clarity on the timeline. 894. It's been great working with you on this. 895. I'm looking forward to collaborating more closely. 896. If you ever need support, feel free to reach out. 897. I'll do my best to respond quickly. 898. I'd love to hear how your team usually handles this process. 890. What's been working well for you lately? 900. Thanks for the context. It really helps me support you better. Another way. Thank you for the background. It helps me support you more effectively. Great 900 lines complete. From here, you'll get high-impact sentences for leadership, decision-making, and handling risk with confidence. 901. I'd like to align on the goal before we choose tactics. 902. What decision do we need to make today? 903. What information do we need to make that decision confidently? 904. If we don't have that information, what's the fastest way to get it? 905. Let's confirm the problem statement in one sentence. 906. What's the business impact if we solve this? 907. What's the cost if we don't solve it? 908. Who will be impacted most by this change? 909. Let's identify the key stakeholders early. 910. I'll propose a decision, and you can challenge it if needed. Another way, I'll suggest a decision, and you can push back if you disagree. 911. If we're aligned on the goal, I can execute quickly. 902. I'm comfortable making the call if you want me to own it. 913. If you prefer to decide, I'll support whatever you choose. 914. To move forward, we need one clear owner. 915. If ownership is unclear, decisions will stall. 916. Let's assign a single decision maker for speed and clarity. 917. We can gather input widely, but decide narrowly. 918. I'll capture input and summarize it objectively. 919. I'll highlight the trade-offs so the decision is straightforward. 920. I recommend we choose the option with the lowest long-term risk. Another way, my recommendation is the option that minimizes long-term risk. 921. If speed is the priority, we can accept a controlled level of risk. 922. If quality is the priority, we should add more review time. 923. If cost is the priority, we may need to reduce scope. 9:24. We can optimize for 2, but not all 3 at once. 925. What constraint is fixed? Time, budget, or scope? 926. Once we confirm the constraint, the path becomes clear. 927. I'll adjust the plan to match the constraint. 928. I'll communicate the plan in one clean summary. 929. I'll include what's changing, why, and what happens next. 930. I'll make sure the message is consistent across teams. Another way I'll ensure every team hears the same clear message. 931. Let's anticipate questions and address them up front. 932. If someone asks why, we should have a simple answer ready. 933. If someone asks when, we should provide a realistic date. 934. If someone asks who, we should confirm ownership immediately. 935. If someone asks how, we should share the approach and risks. 936. I'll write a short FAQ to reduce repeated questions. 937. That will save time and reduce confusion. 938. I'll keep leadership updates brief and outcome-focused. 939. I'll avoid overloading details unless someone requests them. 940. I'll share the key metrics we're tracking. Another way I'll share the core metrics we'll use to measure success. 941. We're on track, and the main risk is approvals. 942. We're slightly behind, and the main risk is capacity. 943. We're blocked, and we need leadership support to unblock. 944. If we don't unblock today, the schedule will move. 945. I'm raising this now so we can protect the deadline. 946. I'm not escalating to blame anyone. I'm escalating to solve it. 947. Here's the exact ask I need from you. 948. A decision today will unblock 3 downstream tasks. 949. If you approve, I'll execute immediately. 950. If you don't approve, please tell me what to change. Another way, if it's not approved, please tell me specifically what needs to change. Quick check, 3 leadership moments, then the natural lines. If you need a clear owner, you can say, to move forward, we need one clear owner. If you need to set trade-offs, you can say, what constraint is fixed, time, budget, or scope? If you need to escalate responsibly, you can say, I'm escalating to solve it. And here's the exact ask I need from you. 951. I'd like to align on priorities for the rest of the week. 952. What do you want me to focus on first? 953. What should I pause to make room for this? 954. I can deliver faster if we simplify the requirements. 955. If we keep the requirements, we should extend the deadline. 936. I don't want to commit to an unrealistic plan. 947. I'd rather commit to something we can actually deliver. 958. I'll track progress and share updates at a steady cadence. 909. If something changes, I'll flag it immediately with options. 960. I'll provide a recommendation, not just a status report. Another way, I'll share a recommendation along with the status. 961. I want to make sure we're aligned on expectations for quality. 962. What level of polish do you need for the first version? 963. Do you want a quick draft or a near final deliverable? 964. If it's a draft, I'll prioritize speed and clarity. 965. If it's near final, I'll add more review and refinement. 966. I can do either, but I need the expectations stated clearly. 967. I'll confirm the expectation in writing to avoid confusion. 968. If we disagree later, we'll reference what we agreed to. 969. I'll keep the decision log updated for transparency. 970. If someone asks later, we'll have a clear record. Another way. If questions come up later, we'll have a clear written record. 971. I'd like to delegate this to someone who can own it end to end. 972. I'll remain available, but I don't need to be in every detail. 973. I trust you to make the call within these guidelines. 974. If you hit a blocker, bring it early, not at the last minute. 975. If you need approval, tell me exactly what you're asking. 976. If you need input, bring options with pros and cons. 977. I'll respond faster when the ask is clear. 978. Let's keep decisions tight and execution fast. 979. I'll protect your focus time by keeping meetings purposeful. 980. If a meeting has no decision, we should question if it's needed. Another way, if there's no decision to make, we should reconsider the meeting. 981. I want to recognize the work the team has done so far. 982. The progress is strong, and the direction is clear. 983. Let's keep momentum and finish the final stretch carefully. 984. If you're stuck, ask early, and we'll help unblock. 985. If you're overloaded, flag it, and we'll rebalance work. 986. I'd rather adjust scope than burn out the team. 987. Sustainable pace is part of good leadership. 988. Let's be direct, respectful, and focused on outcomes. 989. We can disagree, but we should stay aligned on the goal. 990. I'll summarize the plan in one sentence, so it's easy to repeat. Another way, I'll capture the plan in a single sentence that everyone can repeat. 991. The plan is to ship the core version, then iterate with feedback. 992. We'll measure results, learn quickly, and improve step by step. 993. If the results are strong, we'll expand scope next cycle. 994. If the results are weak, We'll adjust the approach immediately. 995. We're not aiming for perfect on day 1. We're aiming for progress. 996. I'll keep communication clear, calm, and consistent. 997. I'll make sure every stakeholder knows what to expect. 998. If you need a summary, I can give it in 30 seconds. 999. Thanks for the trust. I'll take ownership and deliver. 1000. I'll follow up today with a concise plan, owners, and deadlines. Another way, I'll send a short follow-up today with the plan, owners, and due dates. Great 1000 lines. You're very close to mastering the language that makes you sound sharp, reliable, and easy to work with. 1001. I'd like to discuss my goals for this quarter. 1002. Can we align on what success looks like for my role? 1003. What are the top outcomes you want from me right now? 1004. Where would you like me to be more proactive? 1005. I want to make sure my work is aligned with team priorities. 1006. Could we set 2 or 3 measurable goals? 1007. I'd like clear metrics so I can track progress. 1008. What would you consider a strong result by the end of the month? 1009. I'm open to stretching, but I want the expectations to be realistic. 1010. I'd like feedback on what I'm doing well and what I should improve. Another way, I'd appreciate feedback on my strengths and improvement areas. 1011. I'm looking for 1 or 2 high-impact areas to focus on. 1012. What's the biggest skill you want me to develop next? 1013. Are there projects that would help me grow faster? 1014. I'd like to take on more ownership. If there's an opportunity. 1015. If you trust me with this, I'll deliver and keep you updated. 1016. I want to improve how I communicate status and risks. 1017. If you notice gaps, please tell me directly. 1018. I learn fastest when feedback is specific. 1019. Can you share an example of what excellent looks like here? 1020. I'd like to understand how performance is evaluated on this team. Another way. Can you explain how performance is measured for this role? 1021. What does a strong performer do differently in this role? 1022. What behaviors are most valued by leadership? 1023. Are there any common mistakes I should avoid? 1024. I want to be consistent and reliable, not just occasionally strong. 1025. If something isn't working, I'd rather hear it early. 1026. I can adjust quickly when I have clear input. 1027. If priorities shift, please let me know as soon as possible. 1028. I'd like to avoid surprises in my review. 1029. Can we schedule a short monthly check-in on progress? 1030. I want to make sure we're aligned on my responsibilities. Another way, I want to confirm we agree on what I'm responsible for. 10:31. Some of my tasks feel ambiguous, so clarity would help. 10:32. What decisions can I make independently? 10:33. What decisions should I escalate to you? 10:34. If I'm unsure, I'll bring options rather than open-ended questions. 10:35. I'll include a recommendation and the trade-offs. 10:36. I want to build trust by making sound decisions. 10:37. If I make a mistake, I'll own it and fix it quickly. 10:38. I won't hide issues or shift blame. 10:39. I'm committed to continuous improvement. 10:40. I'd like to request support for professional development. Another way, I'd like to discuss development opportunities and support. 10:41. Is there a training budget available for this team? 10:42. Would you support me attending a workshop or certification? 10:43. If budget is tight, I can learn through stretch projects. 10:44. I'd also value mentoring from someone more experienced. 10:45. Could you suggest someone I could learn from? 10:46. I'm happy to do the work. I just want guidance on direction. 10:47. I'd like to practice presenting more often. 10:48. If there's a chance to present, please consider me. 10:49. In a minute, you'll get a clean sentence for asking for a promotion conversation without sounding awkward. 10:50. I'd like to discuss my growth path and what the next level requires. Another way, I'd like to understand what it takes to reach the next level. Quick check, 3 career growth moments, then the natural lines. If you want to ask for a promotion conversation, you can say, I'd like to discuss my growth path and what the next level requires. If you want clear evaluation criteria, you can say, could we set 2 or 3 measurable goals? If you want feedback that helps you improve fast, you can say, I learn fastest when feedback is specific. 10:51. What specific results would demonstrate readiness for the next level? 10:52. What gaps should I close before we revisit this? 10:53. Can we agree on a timeline to review progress? 10:54. I'm not asking for anything immediately. I'm asking for clarity. 10:55. If I hit the targets, I'd like us to revisit the conversation. 10:56. I want to be transparent about my career goals. 10:57. I'm committed to this team, and I want to grow here. 10:58. If there are concerns, I'd like to address them directly. 10:59. I'm open to a plan that's fair and measurable. 10:60. Thank you for taking the time to talk this through. Another way. Thanks for discussing this with me. I appreciate it. 10:61. Now, let's handle budgeting and approvals with professional language. 10:62. Do we have budget allocated for this request? 10:63. If not, what's the process to request additional budget? 10:64. I want to confirm the cost before we commit. 1065. Can you share a rough estimate for the total cost? 1066. What's included in that estimate? And what's excluded? 1067. Are there ongoing costs we should plan for? 1068. We should consider maintenance and support, not just delivery. 1069. If budget is the constraint, we can propose a lower cost alternative. 1070. I'll prepare options at different price points. Another way, I'll put together a few options across different budget levels. 1071. We need approval before we can proceed. 1072. Who has authority to approve this spend? 1073. What's the approval timeline typically like? 1074. If approval takes 2 weeks, we should adjust the schedule now. 1075. I'd rather set expectations early than miss a date later. 1076. Once approved, we can start immediately. 1077. If approval is delayed, we'll lose the slot on the calendar. 1078. Can we confirm whether this is a must-have or a nice-to-have? 1079. If it's a nice-to-have, we can queue it for later. 1080. If it's a must-have, we should prioritize it in the roadmap. Another way, if it's essential, we should move it to the top of the roadmap. 1081. I'll update the plan to reflect the budget decision. 1082. I'll communicate the impact on timeline and scope. 1083. If we reduce cost, we may need to reduce features. 1084. If we keep features, we may need more time or more budget. 1085. Let's choose the trade-off intentionally, not by accident. 1086. I'll capture the decision in writing for clarity. 1087. If the decision changes later, we'll document the reason. 1088. That way, we maintain a clear record for stakeholders. 1089. I'll share a short summary that leadership can forward easily. 1090. I'll keep the summary simple, with no unnecessary detail. Another way, I'll keep it concise so it's easy to share and approve. 1091. Let's make sure we follow compliance and security requirements. 1092. Does this involve sensitive customer data? 1093. If it does, we need a security review before launch. 1094. We should confirm access controls and data retention rules. 1095. Who can approve the security requirements? 1096. I'll schedule a review with the security team if needed. 1097. I'd rather be cautious now than deal with a compliance issue later. 1098. If we're unsure, we should ask and document the answer. 1099. I'll include compliance checkpoints in the project plan. 1100. We'll treat security as a requirement, not an afterthought. Another way we'll handle security as a core requirement, not a last-minute add-on. Great 1100 lines complete. The final set will bring everything together with polished sentences for onboarding, interviews, and wrapping up work confidently. so you can sound fluent in almost any workplace situation. 11:01 Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you on the team. 11:02 I'll walk you through the basics so you can get started quickly. 11:03 Here's a quick overview of how we work day to day. 11:04 If anything is unclear, please ask right away. 11:05 There are no bad questions during onboarding. 11:06 I'll share the key documents and where to find them. 11:07 This link has the team wiki and standard processes. 11:08 These are the tools we use most often. 11:09 Your first priority is to get access to the systems you need. 11:10 If you hit an access issue, message me and I'll help unblock it. Another way, if you run into access problems, let me know and I'll help resolve them. 11:11 Let's confirm your accounts are set up correctly. 11:12 Do you have access to email, chat, and the shared drive? 11:13 Can you open the project board and view the backlog? 11:14 I'll introduce you to the stakeholders you'll work with most. 11:15 We'll start with a small task so you can learn our workflow. 11:16 The goal is progress, not perfection. In your first week. 11:17 I'd rather you ask early than guess and redo work later. 11:18 I'll review your first deliverable quickly and give clear feedback. 11:19 We'll align on expectations before you take larger ownership. 11:20 For your first deliverable, focus on clarity and completeness. Another way. For the first task, aim for clear. Complete work over speed. 11:21 Here's how we write updates so everyone stays aligned. 11:22 A good update includes status, risks, and the next step. 11:23 If you're blocked, say what you need and by when. 11:24 If you're unsure, bring options and a recommendation. 11:25 We prefer decisions in writing so they're easy to reference. 11:26 If you make a decision, document the rationale briefly. 11:27 If something changes, notify the team before it becomes urgent. 11:28 We value proactive communication more than perfect forecasting. 11:29 We also value respectful disagreement and data-driven decisions. 11:30 If you disagree, explain your reasoning and propose an alternative. Another way, if you disagree, share the reasoning and suggest another option. 11:31 Now let's cover interviews and hiring conversations. 11:32 Thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. 11:33 I'm excited to learn more about the role and the team. 11:34 Could you describe what success looks like in the first 90 days? 11:35 What are the most important priorities for this position? 11:36 What challenges is the team trying to solve right now? 11:37. How does the team measure performance and impact? 11:38. What does a typical week look like in this role? 11:39. What skills are most important for someone to do well here? 11:40. Could you share how the team collaborates across time zones? Another way. Can you explain how the team works together across time zones? 11:41. I'd like to share a quick example of a similar problem I solved. 11:42. In that project, I aligned stakeholders, clarified scope, and shipped on time. 11:43. I'm comfortable owning work end to end, from planning to delivery. 11:44. I communicate risks early and propose solutions. 11:45. I focus on outcomes, not just tasks. 11:46. I also value documentation so decisions are clear later. 11:47. If I don't know something, I ask and learn quickly. 11:48. I'm open to feedback and I iterate fast. 11:49. Do you have any concerns about my background that I can address? 11:50. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about my experience. Another way, I'm glad to clarify anything about my experience or background. Quick check, 3 interview moments, then the natural lines. You want to ask what success looks like. You can say, could you describe what success looks like in the first 90 days? You want to show your working style? You can say, I communicate risks early and propose solutions. You want to address concerns confidently. You can say, do you have any concerns about my background that I can address? 11:51. What are the next steps in the interview process? 11:52. What's the expected timeline for a decision? 11:53. If helpful, I can share references or work samples. 11:54. Thank you again for your time. I enjoyed the conversation. 11:55. I'm very interested in the role and I'd love to move forward. 11:56. Please let me know if you need anything else from me. 11:57. I'll follow up by email with a brief thank you note. 11:58. Now let's move into handoffs and wrap-ups, which are critical at work. 11:59. I want to make sure this transition is smooth and low risk. 11:60. Here's the current status and what remains to be done. Another way. Here's where things stand and what's left to complete. 11:61. These are the key files, links, and dashboards you'll need. 11:62. This document explains the decisions we made and why. 11:63. These are the open questions we haven't resolved yet. 11:64. These are the known risks and how we're mitigating them. 11:65. This is the timeline, including milestones and deadlines. 11:66. These are the stakeholders to keep informed. 11:67. This is the preferred communication channel for urgent issues. 11:68. I'll stay available for questions for the next 2 weeks. 1169. If something urgent comes up, message me directly. 1170. If it's not urgent, add it to the tracker and tag me. Another way, for non-urgent items, log it in the tracker and tag me. 1171. I want to close the loop on this request. 1172. The work is complete and the final version has been shared. 1173. The final files are in the shared folder under the release label. 1174. I updated the documentation so it's easy to maintain. 1175. I also added notes about what we learned during the process. 1176. If we do this again, we can reuse this template. 1127. I'd like to schedule a short retrospective to capture improvements. 1178. What worked well, and what should we change next time? 1179. I want to make future execution faster and smoother. 1180. Thanks for everyone's effort and collaboration on this. Another way, thank you all for the work and partnership on this. 1181. One more skill that matters is ending conversations professionally. 1182. I don't want to take more of your time, so I'll be brief. 1183. I'll summarize the decision and send it in writing. 1184. If you agree, please reply with approval so we can proceed. 1185. If you want changes, please list them clearly. 1186. Once I have your response, I'll take action immediately. 1187. Thanks again. I appreciate the quick turnaround. 1188. I'll keep you posted as soon as there's an update. 1189. If there's nothing else, I'll let you get back to your day. 1190. Have a good rest of your day. Another way, if that's everything, I'll let you get back to your day. 1191. We're almost done, and these final lines will help you sound confident in any workplace wrap-up. 1192. To confirm, we agreed on the scope, timeline, and owner. 1193. I'll send a recap with action items right after this. 1194. Please reply if anything in the recap is inaccurate. 1195. If I don't hear back, I'll proceed with the documented plan. 1196. I'll deliver the next update by end of day tomorrow. 1197. If we hit a risk, I'll flag it early with options. 1198. Thanks for the clarity. It helps me execute effectively. 1199. I'll take ownership and follow through. 1200. I appreciate the collaboration, and I'll close this out cleanly. Another way. Thanks for working through this with me. I'll wrap it up and close it out properly. You just completed all 1-200 must-know work sentences. If you want to get real fluency from this, replay the video and speak along at full voice. Then choose your weakest area meetings, emails, or deadlines, and practice those lines 3 times this week.